Rest is not lazy, it's strategic. Too many people burn out. They're working too hard, and that kills your health span. And what kind of things really show up? Because burnout might not necessarily be something dramatic right away, but it could be at first that you're constantly tired, constant fatigue. You have no energy to do things. Could also be you're very irritable and just have to ask your family, your spouse, if that's the case. Then that's a signal for us too. You might have brain fog, having a hard time concentrating. You don't have mental sharpness, and also it could be a lack of motivation or loss of motivation, even with things that you normally are excited to do or love to do. Not quite motivated to carry them out. Those are all signs they might be burning out, that you need some rest. Now, some people respond to that by pushing even harder, and that's not the answer. It's going to lead to a crash. By the way, I'm Steve from LZ23 Strength, and here we exert ourselves, so I advocate pushing hard, crushing it at the gym, doing all we can, but I also talk about elevating health and evolving in mind and body, and that brings in rest and recovery, because we can't just do one aspect and expect to keep going. Why pushing harder often backfires is because our nervous systems need contrast. It needs stress, and a good kind of stress. That's where exercise is a good kind of stress, and there's other stresses that are good. Sometimes we just kind of blackball the word stress, and we don't want none of that in our life, but there's actually good kinds of stress that help us and help us to grow. But on the flip side, we also need recovery. We need that contrast. We need both. You can't just go to the gym and crush it all the time and never get proper rest, recovery, nutrition, because you're not going to make gains. You're not going to progress. It could lead to injury and all sorts of things that are unbeneficial. So recovery really builds capacity and helps us to progress. So we don't want to head for burnout. And it's good to always look at what other people are doing. High performers view rest and recovery as strategic. It's something that they plan into. They do it with purpose. They slow down on purpose. You look at professional athletes, they have an appropriate time to rest. It's all weaved into their routines and daily activities. Executives unplug because they're going at a high pace, a lot of pressure in many of their jobs. And top performers recover strategically. So it's good for all of us. We're trying to have our health span be as good and long and strong as possible. So it's good for us to weave rest and recovery into our lives, into a regular routine for us. And what does strategic rest look like? Well, it's not about just doing absolutely nothing. It's we're always still trying to do things. We don't want to get rest and recovery confused with a sedentary lifestyle, because that's what the majority of people, sadly, lead a sedentary lifestyle. We're not looking at that. We're looking at pushing it as hard as we can, but then mixing it in with rest and recovery. And it could be something as simple as going for a walk without our phone, staring at our phone. I love music, but we don't always have to have headphones listening to music. Maybe it's just a nice walk outside, and especially if you're near a park or nature, listening to the birds, listening to the wind rustle through the leaves. Maybe if there's some water, listening to the stream, a brook, just to chill down, bring it down a notch, so to speak. That can be very peaceful. How about our sleep consistency? Usually high performers, or if we're trying to do a lot when it comes to family, exercise, our jobs, really pushing hard, but how about our sleep? Sometimes there's certain times of the year where maybe our jobs or activities with our families make it hard to get to sleep consistently, but if we want to rest and recover, we need to have that consistent sleep and rest pattern in our lives. It could be something as simple as getting outside and getting sunlight, specifically We like to do it early in the morning at first light, if we can do that. Obviously, everybody's schedule is different, but that can be a way of slowing down and recovering. And just short mental breaks. Sometimes it might not be physically that we're pushing and overdoing it. Sometimes it could be mentally, and it could be because of our jobs and because of a million errands we have to do for our family. But at times, chill out. And maybe that's a good time to sit in the backyard for an hour or two on the weekend and just listen to music and just chill, laid back. So there's things that we can do to know ourselves, know our minds, know our bodies, to make sure that we're doing what we can to rest and recover. And doing that resets our hormones, our mood, our focus, so that we can get back at it and hit it hard. So a little rest, reset, it's going to fuel our performance moving forward, which all benefits our health span. So definitely keep that in mind, that slowing down improves our health span. Chronic stress accelerates aging. It accelerates our aging. So we certainly don't want that. That's the last thing that we want. But recovery can actually slow it down. So we're literally talking about everything. We're talking about our bodies. We're talking about our brains, our mind, our mood, our focus. All of these things are impacted by that. And just think, physically, the tiredness is obvious. But if our minds are exhausted from everything that we got to do or we try to cram in, then physically we're going to be exhausted as well. And it's hard to function, and it's hard to perform at a high level in any endeavor if we're having that exhaustion. And again, that could lead to burnout. So I've talked about this in other videos of how important discipline is, and we need discipline. But in what we're discussing now, we don't need more discipline. We need more wisdom. And the wisdom is to know the balance of our lives, keeping our lives in balance so that we're performing, we're exercising, we're taking care of what we need to take care of, but we also know that there's a time that we need to take for ourselves to rest and recover. Now, this is unofficial. This is my viewpoint, but it seems so applicable in all walks of life and so many things that I try to look at and study. The 80% to 20% rule, where 80% of the time we're trying to be high performers, we're crushing it at the gym, we're getting our steps in, we're doing all the things we need physically, we're trying to get to sleep, we're trying to do all things to help our health span at the 80% level. Then the 20% would be the rest and recovery. So we can't ignore that. We can't flip them, because a lot of people, their whole life is flipped, where 20% maybe they give a little attention to their health and exercise, and 80% of it is sedentary and just kind of relaxing, taking it easy. And that's might feel good at the moment. In the long run, the price will be paid at some point. At some point, we all pay the price for what we do and our activities and our focus, what's important to us. At some point, the bill is going to come, and we're going to have to pay it. So I believe in the 80%, give it all you got, and then 20% pull back, chill. And that might be a time, again, we have to know ourselves, where let's take a long weekend and go away for the weekend and just chill. Get the phone calls, put the phone away, don't take phone calls. It's all depends again on how your body can handle it. Where, like, when I go on vacation, I still try to be active and do that. I have videos on that. So it's not like, but if your body needs it, there's a time where in the old days, I never took time off from working out. Now, it's not easy still, because I'm wired that way now. But there's been 2, 3, 4 days that I didn't work out. It's very rare, because, like I said, I don't know if it's an OCD thing that way, that I've trained myself my entire life that way, but I always want to be working out. But there might come a time where physically I can't. Something's hurting and I'm worn out. So I've taken a few days off. So maybe the long weekend does that. definitely take a well-deserved vacation and someplace that you're going to be able to relax, unwind, and decompress, and then come back at it harder next time. So some people plan vacations and they pack a million things into them. That's kind of up to personal choice, but there's definitely the time to rest and recover. And like I said, that's my perspective for the 80% and 20% rule, the 80-20 rule. So think what you can out of this. Think about it. Think about your activity. The coming year here, 2026. See if you can mix that in a little more. And I appreciate you watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe for sure. And exert yourself, elevate your health, evolve in mind and body. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.